Hello, I'm Jim Ravilli, Superintendent of Washington Township Schools, and I'd like to bring you up to date on a topic that you'll be hearing a lot more about in the coming months: the need for this community to go to the polls next May and pass the educational referendum. First, let me give you a little history. Indiana state law requires that schools maintain separate funds, one to cover ongoing general expenses such as teachers and salaries and educational programs, and another one to pay for capital projects funds such as new construction and major renovations and fixes in the buildings. Over the years, that formula left the district with less money than we needed to pay teachers competitive wages and to fund the excellent educational programs that Washington Township parents demand for our students. So in 2003, the voters of Washington Township approved the first educational referendum by a very wide margin. It allowed the Board of Education to increase the amount of tax money that went into the general fund, and that increase was offset by a drop in the tax rate for the capital projects fund. So the net effect was no tax increase for Washington Township residents, but several million more dollars went into the general fund to pay teacher salaries and other expenses associated with great educational programming. According to state law, that referendum is only good for 7 years. So in May 2010, voters will be asked to renew their support of the measure. Later this month, or in early November, the Board of Education will decide the actual wording of the referendum question. The goal is to do the same thing again, structure the measure in such a way that property tax bills will not go up. The referendum will then have to be approved by a majority of voters in Washington Township, whether they are property owners or not. What will happen if we don't pass this referendum next May? Since 92% of the general fund pays for salaries, there will be no escaping the fact that we will have to cut $5.3 million out of next year's general fund budget, and that will mean loss of jobs and loss of educational programs. Those cuts will be felt in Washington Township classrooms. It's not a threat, but it is a way of saying that this referendum really matters to our students as well as our fine teachers and professionals in the district. A committee of volunteers is already working on plans to pass the referendum next May. In coming months, you'll hear and see more about their activities. In the meantime, if you'd like to help, you can send a check to the address on your screen. And here's the web address where you can learn more, sign up to volunteer, or submit questions that I'll be happy to answer. Thanks for your attention, and thanks for your interest in Washington Township Schools.